Hello. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day. John Davies is the founder and executive chairman of Just Cashflow. He's the chairman of the Association of the Alternative Business Finance, the deputy chair of the Emerging Payments Association, and he's a member of the CBI's SME Council. And for AltFi readers, regular AltFi readers, you'll know that John has been championing the cause of SMEs and alternative lenders for a long time, helping the sector to grow and develop. And this morning, he's going to be talking about are we proving Darwin right? John, how are you this morning?
I'm very well. And how are you, Oliver?
Very well, thank you. John, the stage is over to you.
Fine. I just got to say I've got microphone envy, but there we go. Anyway, hello, everyone. And I'm excited to kick off what appears to be a groundbreaking event. Given the quality of the speakers lined up and the insights they're going to provide, almost a box set in its own right. The event has been called a festival, which means we should be treated to some humor, some reflection, maybe an award or two, and some thoughts on the future. Now, I'll see if I can get all of that in the next 20 minutes or so. Now, of course, it would be wrong of me to start and not recognize the great efforts by the team at AltFi, the go-to place for all the latest news and insights. I can't be the only person who does that first thing in the morning, every morning. Now, we've come a long way when we first sat down at Just Cashflow and agreed to sponsor the event. Then discussions were around the exciting new venue, lights, screens, special guests, celebrity guests, cameras, jugglers. Okay, perhaps not the jugglers. But anyway, it was to be a show. No one has ever imagined we would all be watching from the comfort of your own home. Remember, it's illegal to be in someone else's home. So let's start with a big thank you to Danielle and Oliver. And of course, the real hard workers, the backroom staff led by Sophie and Carla. So well done, guys. Hope all goes well and the hard work pays off. And good luck to all the other great speakers coming up this week. Let's have a virtual hand clap. So, housekeeping. Hey, no fire alarms here. So if you hear one, it's yours. Don't adjust your speakers. My posh stage accent has become a real one again because I've been here for the last 7 months in my hometown. So therefore, I will try hard and speak a little slower for you. And don't adjust your cameras. For those with short-term memories, yes, this is a suit. Worn for the first time in 7 months. I just wanted to change. I couldn't go on stage without one, despite being the only person here. And the good news, it still fits. On the subject of acceptable business attire, I wonder how many of you would confess to wearing a shirt or blouse for a video call, wearing just shorts, joggers, and flip-flops below the desk of the shot. Me for one. So to the event. It's going to be exciting. I thought I'd just pick out one or two events that you may want to put into your calendar. So later today, we have Oliver from Tide and Helen Britton from Starling and others with a subject called Cracking the SME Opportunity. Now, for me, if you have the answer, please do let me know. And to be honest, if I had worked that one out, I'm not sure I would be sharing it with you lot. Laugh in your own time. Can Open Finance succeed? And that's with Claire from Pension B and Francesco from Trulea. Personally, I think the whole piece is really exciting. It just needs time and a focus on a clear benefit to the customer, but it will be game-changing. And tomorrow, we have digital banks and alternative lenders, a love story from Dan at Metro Bank. Well, let's hope love blossoms, because to date, in my opinion, I don't know about you, it's been felt more like a warmth and depth of a dating app, and you swipe to the left or right, allegedly. Or perhaps being a little more serious for the moment. COVID. The story of 2020 has to be, of course, the effect of COVID on all our businesses and lives. The heartbreaking stories and the inspiring stories, such as Sir Tom and members of the frontline nursing staff. I'm sure you all have your special memories from these last few months. And without doubt, the alternative lenders who came to the rescue of SMEs back over a decade ago after the last crash caused by the financial institutions we were supposed to trust have suffered, both in income, liquidity, and some by reputation. We fought our corner to be recognized and included in the government's solutions. In my role as the chair of the Association of Alternative Business Finance, along with others, and they should be named, Christoph at iWalker, David Luck at Capital on Tap, Rob Startup at Liberis, Simon at Funding Options, Catherine at Funding Exchange, along with trade associations, headed up, for example, with Charlotte at Innovate Finance, Stephen and Simon at the Finance and Leasing Association, Flora at the CBI, and Kevin Hollenbeck, MP at the APG. We all came together as one, but failed to persuade the government or Treasury or Bank of England to support the non-bank lenders. They instead chose the usual players. You know, the ones famous for putting the customer first and always treating them fairly and being there when you need them. Yeah. I remember clearly presenting to Parliament back in May. I spoke of the lessons to be learned from Dunkirk. It was the anniversary back then. And the role of the big ships, the big banks, and the hundreds of smaller boats, the non-bank lenders in the flotilla. How each had a vital role to play in the rescue of those stranded soldiers. Everyone agreed and nodded and even referred to it in the summing up. And of course, did absolutely nothing about it. Nothing at all. The whispers inside Westminster is that we could not be trusted as an industry. We borrowed short and sold long. Obviously, the exact opposite. Just shows how far we have to go to become respected by the establishment. Of course, if that's what we want. And at that point, I have every sympathy for Oliver and Tide, who attempted to service his customer base and then became pillared for running out of funds to lend. And despite this becoming public, no lifeline was provided by anyone. Just shows. What was up? Why do I actually help so many other of our competitors, like so I walk on others? Why do I stand up for them? Why do I talk to champion them? I reply, the answer is quite easy. They are not the real competition. The establishment is. We all came together to seek solutions and support our customers. Is there healthy competition amongst ourselves? Of course there is. Without competition amongst ourselves, we would never develop new tech and new and better standards. And neither would platforms such as Funding Options and Funding Exchange and others survive. We all need each other to succeed as an industry, and the byword needs to be around collaboration. How can we help one another? Hopefully a lesson we would have taken away from these COVID times. For the avid readers of AltFi, I did put forward a solution last week, not a new one. We discussed it back in May, and that was instead of the government supporting the individual non-bank lenders, actually supporting the wholesale funders. The wholesale funders who know our industry so well, because it's those funders then who can actually make sure lenders like ourselves at Just Cashflow and others would then be able to access funding to be able to support new businesses. Now, what do I mean by new businesses? Well, in Q1 and Q2 of next year, we're going to see literally thousands of Phoenix businesses. What does that mean? It means businesses who can no longer afford the debt they've built up, whether it be a bounce back loan, deferment of VAT, losses during the period. They will face the prospect of not being able to repay that. In fact, according to think tanks, some 35 billion of unserviceable debt will be around in about March. If we look at the company house statistics right now, we're seeing a rising surge in companies where the directors are already directors of other companies. In fact, over 10,000 of them the week before, 50% up on last year. And that's increasing week by week. So the question is going to be, who is going to support those businesses? And I'm not sure anyone at Treasury has thought about, let alone worked out, how or who will support those entrepreneurs. We know, but we need the funding to do so. And on that point, fraud. I mean, the headlines again have been, and again, it's alleged billions of pounds worth of fraud. Now, if they'd spoken to Charlie at Comply Advantage, Justin at Dell, and Jane G at Comply Global, could they have prevented most of that fraud? You're too right, they could have. However, again, sidelined and ignored. So, to my thought-provoking title, are we proving Darwin right? Let me remind you what it is he is supposed to have said, and I paraphrase. I say that because I wasn't there. Anyway, he said, it's not the strongest or biggest or most intelligent that survives. It's those that are most adaptable to change. And that's what we have to be, is adaptable. Perhaps after being in business for over 40 years, I started my first when I was just 19, and having come through more setbacks and disappointments than English football supporters since 1966, maybe I could share a little insight. One of our biggest enemies as business owners are uncertainty and its twin, hesitancy. It causes us to freeze, rooted to the ground, doubt our own ability, and very often stops essential correct decisions being made. This happened to me last ski season. I'm an avid skier. When standing on a claggy day on the top edge of a very difficult back run that is known locally as the Swiss Wall, the instructor, not a very good one, called out, "Be careful, don't fall. 2 people died here yesterday," as he disappeared in front of us into the mountain mist. Did that cause uncertainty in capability and hesitancy because we now fear the unknown? Too right it did, despite us all being very capable skiers. Once something fearful enters your mind, it becomes very difficult to get it out. It takes over. And that's what we need to do. We, as an industry, need to plan for uncertainty, and by doing so, it creates certainty. Newton's third law, etc., etc. So, a simple concept, but it works very effectively. Have a plan for every conceivable outcome, share them with your team, get their input, and then just keep measuring everything with absolute detail so you know the next step of your plan. Play with your head up and scan what's in front of you and rely on facts, not conjecture. Then keep on executing day in, day out so it becomes a success habit. So no matter what turns up, it won't scare you. And accordingly, you keep adapting, 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 and adapting. And by doing so, it changes the whole uncertainty piece and hesitancy into a plan that allows you to execute with confidence. Now, over those last 40-odd years, I thought I might share some insights that you may also want to look at. Over the years, we've suffered many a sort of common situation, whether it be, the falling of the dot-com bubble or the falling of property prices or the whole thing of Brexit. There's been plenty of them. So what can you take away? Well, number one, perhaps, is this. COVID and the dramatic impact on our lives is going to be with us for at least another 12 months. Yes, we're talking about all new sort of injections and so forth that will help, but you have to plan. What if they don't work? And what about your customers? How's the landscape going to look and change for them? Local lockdowns, national lockdowns, lockdowns we've never heard of before. If not COVID-19, how long before the next infection comes along? Hopefully, all of those predictions could be wrong, but plan in case they do. Number two, Brexit. Remember that? All the pain that was causing us last year? Well, it hasn't gone away. Brexit will impact how we do business with Europe, and it won't be plain sailing. Now, for you, this may not impact you directly, but it may impact your customers or suppliers or partners, or indeed the economy. Number three, access to finance. In my view, traditional banks won't be doing much lending in Q1, Q2, Q3 next year, especially to the SME, our customers, due to the way they are structured and the legacy of dealing with government support schemes. They were not going to step up this time without guarantees from government. Certainly don't expect them to do so in the future. So how will that affect you? How will that affect your plans? But what if they do? What if the government decides to lend more funds through them whilst ignoring us? Then what we will do? Number four, supporting recovery. Over the years, I've seen more companies go out of business when it comes to recovery than they did when they were actually going into the depression itself, mainly because as they started to trade, they don't have the capital to build a business. And of course, the odds are now stacked against those businesses going forward in 2021, because they're not going to have 2 years trading history. They're not going to have all of the other intelligence you would normally assess on a deal. Now, we at Just Cashflow began harnessing augmented intelligence a while ago to identify promising startups through their online footprint, social, where they hang out, etc. Now, there are about 16,000 new companies that register each week, so therefore it allows us to actually link through all of them and pick out who we think are the most likely to succeed. Now, are we alone in that? Of course not. What we do have, though, is human expertise in this piece. And that's the marriage of success, is the idea of human knowledge and capability backed up with technology. And so technology does the heavy lifting, and the expertise of the humans actually make the right decisions. And I think the fintech sector is going to be ready to support these businesses once we have access to funding. Because without us, I don't see how the growth is going to come around. A bonus tip, by the way, a word of warning: no one in government is going to save you or your business. It's down to you, no matter what they promise. So I'll repeat that. It's down to you. Only you are going to change things. Number 5, look after your assets and don't neglect them. And by that I mean your customers. Someone else will steal your customers if you don't find a way to serve them. So, and that last point, keeping our customers from other predators, that became our motivator to launch our full banking stack. As the headlines said yesterday, keeping and protecting our own customer relationship and making the proposition to be attractive enough to leave a business away from the high street. You may have seen the headlines yesterday, and I said, is this whole space hotting up? Absolutely. SMEs deserve better, and we, the fintech community, can deliver that better experience. And isn't fintech so really clever that a non-bank lender like ourselves can add all that banking technology to our lending expertise? And that's why we are always seeking partnerships with other fintechs who can add value to us and our customers. Oh, and by the way, just another word of caution. Lending is going to be the easiest business you will have ever imagined. You will be able to lend millions in no time at all, and every broker and platform will love you as you extol the virtues of your new shiny new algorithm. Unfortunately, you will also have to open another business called servicing and collections, of which no algorithms exists. And unfortunately, that's one of the toughest businesses you'll ever run, and normally only once. But I believe this is a great opportunity for fintech to come together and show the establishment just how much we are changing people's lives for the better, and how there's a genuine movement around financial inclusion and diversity, and that we genuinely care about the type of world we live in. People of my age can normally only inspire those who have started this journey. However, many of you could go back to your communities you grew up in and inspire those who have yet to start that journey and show them the world of possibility and hope. People need hope and a way through this, and you can do that. Well, I promised you an award or two. So we at Just Cashflow wanted to recognize individuals who we believe did just that: overcome obstacles, break through the glass ceilings, and become an inspiration to others. So this year, Just Cashflow, the Glass Ceiling Award was chosen by us. What does glass ceiling mean? It means breaking through prejudices because of race, color, sexual orientation, upbringing, or physical, mental disabilities. And we believe by holding this award and actually inspiring others to do so, it will inspire others to want to go on and break through those glass ceilings as well. Now, our award winner, born to working class parents in a very much industrial valley area, within much of it laid barren land poisoned by the production of copper and waste. Prefabs to house the displaced, it was a part of the town that was riddled with petty crime, about 3 miles that away. No private schooling for our award winner. From primary and junior, she went to a comprehensive school. But it was no ordinary school. It was on top of a high hill that carried a classification of S. Not special for its gifted pupils, but because the teachers got paid more money to persuade them to teach there. I kid you not. And no Chelsea tractor to get you there. You walked in the rain or shine. A tough upbringing by anyone's standards. Career choices were pretty limited, and many girls chose what appeared to be the easy choice: start a family and get a counsellor, work on the production line of a factory, get an admin job, or if you showed any talent, become a teacher, which in fact several of her friends did. But not our award winner. She strived, went on to specialize in the sciences, and then to university, taking her inspiration from other strong and successful women she had seen on TV. She was going to pursue a career in IT. And back in those days, email had not been invented. There were no mobile phones. Phones were actually wired to the wall. She was going to pursue a career in IT. However, she went from then and decided to take an opportunity and went to work for a bank as a graduate trainee. Now, in the 80s, as a female, you were either going to be a teller, an admin clerk in a completely male-dominated industry. And I wonder, when our award winner first took that job, whether she imagined where she would be today. But the ordinary wasn't going to be enough for her. In fact, she worked her way through, impressing her peers along the journey through promotion, eventually making her way into the boardroom and top tier despite the male domination. Picked up an MBE on the way. I'm sure you've now guessed who that person is. But still not satisfied, she persuaded others to back her and launch her own bank to take on the establishment who she thought weren't treating customers the way they could be. That bank, of course, as you now guessed, is the multi-award winning Starling Bank. So the Just Cash Flow Breaking Glass Ceilings Award this year goes to none other than Anne Bowden. And with a
Okay, so fintech now has a Swansea accent.
It does indeed. And for everybody else, of course, Anne hails from Swansea.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm most honoured. Thank you very much.
It's very much, and it's an absolute pleasure. We haven't spoken for about 42 years, but it's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And I believe you're on at 10 o'clock.
Yes, I'm being interviewed by Oliver very, very soon.
There you go, and telling us all about your new book.
Thank you.
So again, I'm happy to this award. I can pop it into your office for you, or you can come and collect. So anyway, that's Anne. Oh, she's come back again. Okay, good to see you. The award will be yours. Catch you soon. Brilliant. Good. So next year, of course, we'll accept your nominations of who you believe is the right person to actually win that award. So I believe, Oliver, you wanted me to sort of answer some quick questions for you.
Absolutely. John, first of all, thank you for that introduction to the day and the week. And I think you touched on a lot of topics which we're going to dive deeper into over the next few days. We've got some questions from the audience. I just want to pull a few of them out. The first one I spotted was, what are you seeing? You mentioned the next lockdown and the rise of defaults. What are you currently seeing in terms of defaults?
Well, at the moment, those businesses that were able to take advantage of bounce back were obviously going to pay down some of the other debts, which we saw exactly the same thing. So we saw quite a lot of inflows. To be honest, because we are slightly different in the way we manage our customer base. So each customer has a relationship manager, and we have 300 customers to each relationship manager. We have a very hands-on approach to our customers. So therefore, with many of them, we're able to help and steer them through this. Does that mean all of them are going to survive? Of course not. But I think what a lot will do, as I alluded at the beginning, is they will probably seek a new vehicle to run their business in Q1 and Q2 when they realize they just can't service the debt they've built up. Because normally, when you looking to lend to a business, you're looking to lend into a growth opportunity, not somebody who's been losing money. And the challenge now is they've been using debt to finance losses, which normally isn't a good mix.
Sure. And James Shepherd has asked a question which touches on the topic you mentioned earlier. You joked about servicing and collections and using algorithms to replace some of these things. But what do you see here? Do you think there will be an increase in automation within servicing and collections in the future? And how do you think that will work?
Okay, so for us, we've just embarked on an RPA as robotics and automation. And I mean, you sit there and your jaw drops in terms of how clever a lot of this technology is and what it does and how it does that. And it certainly helps enormously in trying to identify the right businesses to sort and lend to. However, our experience is actually it's the human touch that actually makes a difference in the SME world. We have to confirm that SME lending and consumer lending are different things. I sit on several panels around recoveries on consumer and others, and it depends upon the relationship. And what we can point to is that the greater the relationship and the bond between the borrower and the lender, the more likely a better outcome for both sides. It's when one doesn't have a relationship and is disenchanted tends to be the worst outcome. Think yourself, the last person you'd want to try and not pay is somebody like respect and trust. And that's where that piece and that technology can't do it. What it can do is help in recognizing those businesses and speaking to them at the right time, but you still need to speak to them.
Fantastic. And last question, this one's from me. The news you touched on earlier that came out just yesterday that Just Cashflow is working on launching a business account. What does that mean for the future of your business? And do you, should we expect Just Cashflow to have its banking license application in the works?
Okay, so the answer to the banking application is highly unlikely. We are a proud non-bank lender that allows us to move in directions we want to without having to sort of look over our shoulder all the time in terms of government interference. So from our point of view, it's all about being able to deliver something that the customer wants and needs. Customers want access to easy banking solutions, and we can deliver that. They want access to funding in the early stages of their business, and we can provide that quickly as well. So like most things in the world of technology, I think customers themselves will be the voters of what works or don't. They will be the ones who decide, actually, do you know what? This is a better experience, a better outcome, and again, a better relationship. I think the high street bank has lost that moral high ground in many respects. And as we've seen right now, have already closed their doors to support to SMEs. So the government is saying, no, we're to extend it. And they're saying, no, we're not. So therefore, again, it's, and I have some empathy with the banks, to be fair, they didn't want to do it, but they were forced to do it. Hence back to my question of actually we prefer to be independent and making our own decisions, who we should lend to and when and how we should lend to them as well.
Fantastic. Well, look forward to following the developments. John, thank you so much for your opening keynote this morning, and look forward to networking throughout the week.
I look forward to that as well. And in fact, we've also got a panel event on Friday morning, I believe.
I look forward to it. See you later, John.
Thank you, Oliver. Take care. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
And our next panel will be starting in just a few moments.